Welcome to another episode of The Crafty Lee. I'm Lee. My pronouns are they, them. And while this series is called The Crafty Lee, as I mentioned in my intro video, my aspiration was to start a YouTube channel. It was going to be about something more fun, but right now, the current iteration of this channel is navigating cancer. So we're going to handle that in as crafty a manner as possible. And by crafty, I mean let's kick its butt. So I wanted to talk about the timeline and kind of the backstory for those of you who are just tuning in or just hearing about my diagnosis. It is quite new for me as well. I just heard about it last Tuesday, so you're not really that far behind the scenes if you're just watching this newly released video. So Tuesday, March 4th, I went in for, and I will give you a content warning. I'm going to be talking medical terms. If you're not comfortable with medical terms and talking about the body, this may not be the video for you. But for those of you who are curious about my health and what is happening and what has led to this diagnosis, this is the video that I'm going to talk about that in. Proceed at your own caution, your own risk, whatever you're comfortable with. So last Tuesday, March 4th, I went in for a standard exam, also known as a colonoscopy, at age 45. This is pretty common and recommended. If you're 45 or older, you should go do one if you haven't already. I will say I was nervous about it. I thought it was going to be really miserable. I was unconscious. It's pretty great. I don't remember anything. It was pretty fast, pretty easy. I thought I was going to go in and out. My doctor was going to be like, you're 45, you're aging, but overall you're really healthy. Good job. Have a great day. And instead I woke up from the mild anesthesia they put me on to instead be informed that I had a tumor in my colon and that it was very, 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 very strongly likely cancerous. Obviously he couldn't officially say it was cancer until the biopsied components of the tumor had been tested and confirmed. But seeing as he is a doctor who has been doing this a long time, he was like, it's cancer. This was not the message I was expecting to hear upon waking up from anesthesia. My partner was on the other side of the country at the time because, again, we thought this was going to be just a standard general checkup. I didn't have any major concerns about my health. I had minor concerns, which is why I was getting a standard checkup. So coming out of that appointment, they immediately scheduled me for a surgery to have the tumor removed, which was scheduled for March 20th, this coming Thursday. They also scheduled me to have more blood drawn for labs and to get a CT scan with IV contrast, which means they put a special contrast into my veins with an IV and then scan me with the CT scanner to see if anything else shows up in the scan aside from what they found visibly in my colon with the camera that they used. So fast forward then to Friday, March 14th, when I went in and saw the GI surgeon who is scheduled to do my surgery on the 20th and the oncologist, so the cancer doctor specialist. This is Link, by the way. She does like to pop in and share her thoughts on videos as I'm recording them and conversations that I'm having. So welcome, Link. So Friday, March 14th, my partner and I went in to meet with the doctors and nurses at the hospital to discuss the findings of all of the tests that were then done from the time of the 4th up until then. Hi. Yes. Oh my goodness. We need some kisses, apparently. Yes. Okay. You're getting your cameo in. I see that. Okay. Good job. Good job. This is Link. This is fully Link. The GI surgeon said, yep, definitely need to get that tumor out, but also from your CT scan, we can see that the cancer has metastasized, i.e. it has spread outside of where that tumor was into other parts of your body, which with colon cancer spreading to the liver is very common, which is also what makes it stage 4 because it has moved outside of the organ that it started in and is now growing in other organs. So he said, obviously you're going to need to talk to your oncologist first, and she will determine whether or not what the next step is. So because there is now more than one organ impacted, and he obviously is only a surgeon who handles colon surgeries, surgeries on the bowels, if you will, there would need to be another surgeon involved, and the question was including, should we do chemotherapy first to shrink all of the cancer throughout that region first, to make it smaller and easier to remove by surgery, or do we do the surgery first and then use chemo after, purely to just kill off anything that was left behind after surgery? So then met with the oncologist. She kind of reiterated the same things, talked a little bit more about the cancer. There were a lot of different medical terms. I am overwhelmed. I am not a cancer specialist. I am not a doctor. I don't work in the medical profession at all. I am a patient having received a diagnosis, so I'm just sharing what I know, but my understanding is like the two core paths for my specific type of colon cancer and the spread of my cancer into my liver is either chemo to shrink the tumors, and then surgery, and then more chemo after to kill off anything that's left, or just straight up cut everything out first and then do chemo after to get anything. But what the oncologist also agreed was that let's talk to the liver specialist in the city, who is in a different hospital system. We don't have one up here, to find out what their recommendation is, and if they have a preference on whether we surgically remove it first or we shrink it first, and we go from there. So the hope is tomorrow we will have an appointment. I will have an appointment set up with the surgeon to discuss next steps from their point of view, and then we will have a plan in place. So I am yet still in a holding pattern of I don't know what is going to happen next. We're just waiting. So I do know a few next steps that are shorter, but will need to happen no matter regardless of which path we take. So I will be this week getting in for a PET scan, which is just another type of scan, which is like, you go into the big tube and you're in that tube for, a good hour and a half, and they scan everything top to bottom, and they get a really, really, really solid picture of everything. So we'll have kind of a baseline of where I'm at now, which will likely just come in handy later as we continue on this journey. And I will also be getting something I'm very not excited about, which I've only just learned exists, which is called a chemoport or a portacath, which feels very sci-fi. It's like a port that they surgically install in your chest that kind of like installs a direct drain plug port inlet outlet to a major vein / artery just below your collarbone. So both for when they need to take blood for various lab tests, but also for all the chemo treatments, so they can just like hook something right up to my body and not have to keep putting holes in my arms and hands to handle that. I'm really not excited about that. I've been trying to actively not think about the fact that I'll be getting one of those installed into my body this week. I find the idea of it pretty horrific. Actually, I find the idea of most of this pretty horrific. So, yeah, so for those of you who have been looking for more information, that is the backstory / timeline of the last week and a half of my life. Just in a lot of shock and daze, and fear and sadness. So the coming videos will likely just be me sharing where I'm at, giving updates when I have them about medical things that are happening, updates about what's changing or what's scheduled, and also just talking about what this process is like for me and what my experiences have been. I hope that whatever I go through in this process is something that can be helpful to other people who also have to go through this process. I hope it can be helpful to the people who are showing up for me while I go through this process, so you can hear where I'm at and understand what I'm going through, and feel like you know what I need for support. And yeah, I hope it's helpful, and thank you, and I love you for being here, for me, for yourself, for whatever it is you're here for. Until next time.